Yeah, well, I kind of, well, I'm kind of curious about sort of like your thoughts about after sitting the 45 and like having a month and a half to like integrate again.
All right.
Like, what are your like observations, I guess?
Okay. So it's been like 6 weeks, right? Pretty much since I've come back.
Mm-hmm.
Like I came back and I worked for 3 weeks, but it was pretty chill because people were winding down for Christmas, and then we had the Christmas break, and then I sort of just got back into it. Last week was my first week back at work, and after 2 days I was pretty knackered, but like seriously knackered, like a bit unreasonably knackered. Like I'd work, I wasn't pushing myself that hard, and I'd feel like tension in my head, in my face, and then yeah, and in the past I've had to stop. I've actually had to ask for like a week off, which is pretty embarrassing. Or I mean, sort of feel like I was letting other people down or letting myself down, kind of thing. Um, but this time I just started going for walks like every hour, like I was mentioning to you earlier today. So anyway, so it's not that much related to meditation, but I feel like in the last week or two I haven't had much space or anything to process any thoughts or like reflect or introspect or think about anything deep because I've been so consumed with work, um, and with the added factor of uh, feeling burnt out quite early. When I first came back from meditation, this is a common experience, at least for me, whenever I first come back. You know, in the course when like you're sitting, at least for me, they don't particularly seem like short, right? But when meditate comes, I'm like, these sits are just flying by. At least that's my experience. And when I came home, I really noticed that. Like I would be sitting, and then it'd be like bang, like almost hours gone. So my perception of time, how fast the sits were going was it much longer or much shorter than usual? I perceived them to be much shorter than usual, but that's a common experience for me. And day by day, I can notice that going back to normal now. So, um, like I'd find myself wondering, or maybe it's agitation, or for me, it's sort of like a usual experience of just adjusting back. Like the sits go by really quick when I come back home, starting on meta day, and then slowly things just go back to normal. Um, but then when we went to a group sit like today, it's always a bit more pronounced and a bit more strong and quicker. So nothing that special. Um, Coming back this time, things were much lighter in life. Um, but a lot of the effects I noticed them when I noticed how light I was or less tense I was with respect to like, I guess, worldly objects, if you know what I mean. So with my relationships or people who are close to me, etc., etc., I noticed that I would be less attached in a negative way, like psychologically, or less tense, or more accepting of things. And to be honest, that was the main. That's been one of the main things I've noticed since coming back from 45-day course. That I've been much more like accepting of things and psychologically, especially with like interpersonal relationships and sort of not being attached to things that shouldn't primarily be my concern. Like, do you remember that screenshot I sent you? I sent you shortly after I came back. Yeah, yeah, but it says like all you can do with regard to your own life is choose the best path that you believe in. On the other hand, what kind of judgment do other people pass on that choice? That's the task of other people, and it's not a matter you can do anything about. Um, it's in line with what I'm thinking about. It's like um, I'm less attached to like the tasks of other people, as that quote was referring to. Um, so I feel like life is much lighter in that way. But then my attachment that I'm sort of loosened a bit or become it's become less strong, and hence I just notice life is a bit nicer, or there's less suffering, etc., etc. But that's a big one for me, um, and I tend to find the closer I am with someone, or I guess, and perhaps the more time I spend with somebody, could be family, could be work friends, like, um, then the easier it is to develop those attachments. And it's not necessarily like attachment in the conventional sense where you get attached and you fall in love with someone. It's like maybe you attach, you want them to do something a certain way. Like it could just be your colleague where you're just pissed off about them not being a certain way or something like that, right? So you're attached to them being a certain way, not you really want them to not be the way they currently are, kind of thing. So I find um, a bit less attached in that sense, which has been good, and I've also found it to be things just to be better in general. The other people seem to be better off as well without me sort of uh, like being too emotionally invested in how they should be, which I guess makes sense.
No, thanks for sharing. Yeah, yeah. So,
I don't know, like I don't feel like I've had like a radical change in perspective or anything which has inspired me to be very different or change or make radical life changing sort of decisions, kind of thing. So maybe it's a bit boring.
it's probably more relevant, I guess, to what I probably need to hear because I guess I think I don't know, I think it's something Weller said to me recently that kind of stuck a little bit about how I don't know if I can't remember exactly, but the feeling I got is like kind of accepting the fact that we're born in this particular period for a reason, or as in like like if we were like going to be like I guess good meditators or would be maybe you know alive during the time of the Buddha, for example, or like and like currently it seems like or maybe things might change in the near future, but like we're sort of the tradition we're in is like a household tradition, and it's sort of like you know it's designed so that we have the house like it's a household tradition, like we have to have jobs and stuff, and we can't really dedicate extended periods of time. I mean, 45 days is a long time, but it's still not
Mm.
we're going back to like sort of like mundane life, and it's really it's not it's you're sort of just adding stuff, right? As much as you can try to like you know create circumstances like have like like a pretty quiet like lifestyle, but if you're working still, like especially if you're in corporate, it's you're still got to be you know getting a lot of input from people that are generally more agitated, and so like I think it's sort of like very like unrealistic to expect um, yeah, like anyone who's practicing in this way where we sit retreats but then we come out and we live a relatively normal life to kind of touch on those deeper insights that sort of like maybe a monastic would experience,
Mm.
it seems. Yeah, yeah, I kind of wanted to reflect on like sort of my experience as well, actually, like kind of like the last year of just like sitting and doing a lot of service. Like I did like I was calculating, and I sort of I did 6 10-day courses,
Yeah.
served the 60, the 20,
Yeah.
and then like a bit here and there. I was sort of doing that with the intention of like kind of thinking, okay, like if I just keep on doing it, it might kind of push me to the point where I feel like, okay, I should just be a monastic now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sort of realizing, I don't know, because when I'm coming back now, it seems to me like maybe it was just trying to like, I was just trying to run away from responsibility rather than doing it for kind of wanting to, well, yeah, doing it out of wisdom or faith. Like, of course, there was a bit of that, but I think a part of me was sort of like, oh, this seems like the easier option. And then like, and sort of probably mixed in with a bit of craving, wanting to develop deeper insights and experience like, sort of like, I guess, I don't know, just have like a clearer understanding of like the practice and like, and just sort of refining my understanding in like a, yeah, just like a suitable environment for like deeper meditation, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, I
Like,
feel like you've had a really big year
mm,
in terms of like, I guess, the total amount of time spent in a meditation center.
yeah, it's, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems to me like, I don't know. Like I feel like I might have been, yeah, pushing it a little bit in my case. Even though like, yeah, like you could probably say like on a superficial level, yeah, it was like kind of a lot. I mean, it was a lot, but in terms of like, I'm realizing more and more how like the perspective and like approach and like view we should have when we practice Dharma is like, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it before of like, just doing the work and just leaving the result to
Mm-hmm.
Dharma, like sort of like
Mm-hmm.
that sort of hands-off approach in terms of like not expecting anything. And I feel like that's like so important for progress to be made. It's like, yeah, because the moment you have any sort of expectation, like your actions are sort of mixed in with like craving and like
Mm.
it's like going in the opposite direction. Because yeah, and it's very interesting. Like I look at like Dave is one of the long-term servers at Boomi,
Mm-hmm.
and I really respect him in terms of like his sort of he just sort of like I don't know what it is, but like it seems to me that he has no craving for progress. He just sort of felt
Mm.
like he needed to be at the center at a particular moment of his life, and it
Mm-hmm.
seemed to be really just the right timing for him to be long-term serving.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that he yeah got a lot out of it in terms of you know like it was very natural. I feel like whereas for me I think I like to kind of understand things a bit more intellectually and try to use that to guide and kind of like push myself to like kind of practice Dharma more. But it seems counterproductive and like it goes against what I feel like is the right thing to do. Um, yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. I was sort of reflecting on like how traditionally how you would like how in Buddhist countries they would come to it more from like a theoretical point of view, but at the same time I think because like the values of what the Buddha taught, especially to lay communities, he talked about generosity and morality, and so I think as a kid you'll sort of be exposed to those ideas, and then it would be a more natural progression, like because they'll usually traditionally they would become monks, monastics,
Mm.
you know. But I feel like the way we're taught in this tradition is kind of a bit interesting that we get sort of thrown in the deep end out of like my first 10-day course is kind of like I feel like most guys like living in Australia like, would have gone through like a phase of like partying and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like kind of a bit of a shock
Mm.
to the system. Um,
Like, let's say next year we're free, or we win the lottery or whatever. Like, one of my dreams would be to do what you just did, to spend like most of the year in a meditation center. But then it'd still be hard to have any expectation of what kind of fruits that would bring. It's meritorious and it's wholesome, and I think at a minimum life is better afterwards. Suffering is reduced, but in terms of like, I don't know, in terms of like meditation goals, I think it's difficult. I think it's
I think,
tricky.
I think for me, I wasn't really expecting any sort of insights to arrive at any insights. It's more just I wanted more clarity to see whether or not I could just be a monk. I think I sort of really did not think about like lay life in general because I was like, okay, if I become a monk, it's just pointless to think about all this stuff.
Yep.
But now that I've come back, I feel like, oh shit, now I'm like, I feel like my mindset is completely, there's a bit of like incongruency with like um, my mindset and like what I have to do now in terms
Mm-hmm.
of transitioning back. It's almost as if like I was already a monk for some time and now I'm
Yep.
transitioning back. That's what it feels like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's making it challenging because like every time I'm like, okay, I'm trying to like force myself to do something. I'm like, okay, I need to like earn money, so I need to pick something. I'm just like, I'm sort of, I feel this resistance. Like,
Mm.
I'm just like, oh, like, nah, this is like, this is like not, it's just gonna trap me. It's gonna trap me in some sort
Mm.
of like circumstance where I might even like lose this inspiration to practice. Like, I can
Mm-hmm.
sort of feel it from time to time. I'm like, man,
Mm-hmm.
like today it was just like, I just felt like I was wasting my time. Like, cause like, and I'm like, okay, I probably should do stuff like, like either study or start applying for
Mm-hmm.
work. But yeah, I just wasn't really feeling it. I just sort of distracting myself just to kind of like
Mm.
not have to think about it. And I was like, kind of, like, do I just sit there, do nothing? And or like, I just, watch some YouTube, whatever. Watch some movies. But
Mm.
yeah, it's, I'm trying to figure out, like, I wish I could just have this idea and just be like, really like, okay, this makes sense.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I can't, nothing really fully,
Like, you sort
yeah.
of would prefer to have a pathway, right?
Hmm. I mean, I'm leaning sort of towards being, I'm sort of like leaning towards the fact that, okay, maybe I should probably delay sitting like longer courses until like later in life. It's
Mm-hmm.
sort of like what I'm sort of like the conclusion I'm sort of reaching where like, because like I'm sort of realizing like, it's like when you sit the long courses, you become a bit more sensitive in terms of, and like it might make it difficult to combine like having like a full on career
Mm.
and like sit long courses. Like when I look at like the only exception is like you and Stuart that I've seen
Mm.
where you guys are like sort of trying to keep both things where it's like okay sit long courses but also have like a meaningful sort of career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if like when I'm looking at like everyone else that's sitting long courses, they're like usually on the oldest side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Or if people have sat young, they're sort of like not even thinking about working at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Uh, and like, just being realistic, I'm sort of just like sort of, just sort of thinking about it to myself. Like, I think realistically, I should probably just focus on like work now, and just try to enjoy my career, and
Mm-hmm.
like maybe serve more to like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of build up that momentum so that when I get older, and I can slow down with work, then I can go. I'll be, and I guess like I would have like more time for my, I guess, maturity and my understanding of Dharma to kind of develop in a more gradual way, and it might even be helpful in the sense that because like I'll just be kind of like like there'll be like less. There'll probably be less craving for like wanting things to happen or wanting insights to come or and just sort of like allowing myself to enjoy like the mundane aspects of life a bit more.
Mm.
Like, yeah, just enjoying like a meaningful sort of work where, and I think that's the sort of the reason why I wanted to get into a trade, like where you sort of build like a very tangible sort of skill. Um,
Mm.
Kind of why I was leaning towards being an electrician, and it's
Mm-hmm.
also so because I had like a childhood experience about dealing with like making a torch out of like household items, and it
Mm-hmm.
sort of like stuck with me a little bit. Um, but yeah, so but I think a part of me is still sort of like, oh man, like nah, man, if Nick and Stuart can do it, like I want to kind of try as well. Like I think that's
Mm.
sort of wanting to sit long courses is still like still holding on to the idea,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think like logically, like the more longer you sit, the better, right? But like, is it the right timing for me? Is like another question. It seems to me like it seems to me I'm trying to like, rush it a bit and like
I mean, um, but then you don't have to decide the next 5, 10 years of your life, even like now, right, or this year, right? You could decide on the general direction. Like you sound like you're currently wanting to focus on your career, right, to balance things out a bit more.
hmm,
But it doesn't mean that, like, maybe I reckon maybe you'll end up where you might have to delay the long courses a couple years, etc., etc. But maybe you'll find, or maybe doing the same thing that you're going to do anyway, you end up finding a way to sit long courses. But it's very hard. I think it's very hard to look that far ahead, even 6 months, 9 months ahead. I'd find it a bit, I don't know, stressful, or like to try and plan it out so concretely, because you're not too sure what job you're going to do, and you're not too sure what work context you're going to find yourself in, right?
yeah, yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, yeah,
I feel like this, once you find yourself in um, your next gig or your job, whatever you decide to do, there'll be so much information in terms of what implications it has for, let's say, your schedule, your upcoming schedule, and that will give you a bit more, I don't know, information gradually to make judgments about, like, okay, I've got to give it a break for 3 months or 6 months or a year. Okay, fine, and then my employer's going to have me back, or they're not going to have me back. Therefore, I should get really skilled in a year. So then I'll just quit. Then I'll do the long course. But since I got the skills, then I can go back into it. Or whatever, or the job you go into, it's all good. You can take unpaid leave whenever you want. So you don't have that consideration of planning to quit and come back. Or you work for a meditator, then, or you don't, kind of thing. So I feel like there's lots of missing information
mm.
that will probably be revealed after you take a few steps in the work direction.
Mm.
So one thing that did come to mind, um, is that if I thought to myself, well, as in, even in my situation, I don't know when the next time I'll be able to sit is, right. So I have confidence that I do want to sit a long course this year. So I guess I'll probably sit it in July, but it really depends. Like I think I'm probably going to get made. I think anywhere from like 3 to 9 months, I'll probably lose my job, right? So it depends on that. Depends if I can even find another job, how long it takes to find a job, who my next boss is. Is it a contract? Is it this or that kind of thing? But no, I was just saying, like, from what I heard from what you said, I find like it's hard to figure out the things you're wondering about without taking a few steps. And I think it'll be fine either way. It would just be like you go this option, you do this option, you go this option. But I don't believe that you'll find yourself in a place where it's going to be too hard to sit. I feel like we're too keen on that, or we want it too much. So you figure out a way to make it happen, but it just depends how. But the how is very hard without more information, I think.
Mm.
Like, I've got a lot of information, and yet I don't know my schedule or when the next time will be. But I'm pretty sure I'll make it happen. But I just have to keep waiting for more information and just wait for the opening or the timing. But I think, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I think it's kind of reassuring to hear that actually, because yeah, I think I was sort of putting myself in this like mental position where I was sort of like didn't really know what to do because I didn't want to do anything that would detriment my progress in like wanting to sit long courses. Because like I felt it a little bit when I, for example, like during the Christmas period, I was like spending time with like family and stuff, and like I don't know, like there was like sort of this. I don't know, like I feel like because I was like very like careful about who I was like interacting with and how like I guess open I was to other people, and it almost felt like I could kind of like it just like I don't know like sometimes it feels like I think especially recently I've been sort of just like not holding on to things like ideas or just sort of just letting things sort of pass and not really um I don't know if this makes sense, but then it seems like yeah, like I understand like how certain interactions with certain people can kind of influence like sort of the intentions I like you're like, whoa, that's weird. Like I wouldn't normally want to do that or like feel this or like
Mm.
have this sort of it's sort of you feel like you're being pulled in a certain direction.
Mm. Mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm.
think my kind of concern was the more I kind of like involved with this worldly stuff, I'm just got to completely because like in the past I used to be very like strong-headed about things because I'd really like kind of hold on to these ideas
Mm-hmm.
about okay like this is like no I know this is what needs to happen like but I've sort of transitioned a bit to be a bit more open to I guess being wrong about what I think is um because I think there's a bit of a duality in terms of like the things I hear from our tradition and like things I hear monks say, and it's kind
Uh-huh.
of like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that's the and I'm pretty I want to really I mean just knowing the history of our tradition, the lineage of teachers, is just really inspiring to me,
Mm-hmm.
especially Sayagyi and Webu Sayadaw and like Lady Sayadaw
Mm-hmm.
in particular. Like those figures are just they're extraordinary,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to and it also like things like Gwenkaji says makes a lot of sense,
Mm.
and like I kind of and it seems to me that I mean I could be wrong, like it yeah there's a bit of a like sometimes it seems like there's a bit of a discrepancy sometimes there's like a bit
Mm-hmm.
of like a
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but at the same time I kind of wonder, is it because it seems to me Goenkaji really, like for example, like he like sort of really emphasizes Vedana, and for good
Uh
reason. It
huh.
makes
Uh huh.
sense.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like I was reading like something recently about someone talking about Satipatthana, but they sort of missed Vedana. There's like body, mind, and mental control. I was
Right.
like, oh, that's interesting, and like, and so I'm like, are they just like, because it seems really important, like especially because we've come from this tradition which
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
emphasizes it so much,
Yeah.
and it makes sense to me. But I forgot where I was getting with that. But I think I have like it seems like I have this idea, this feeling that I have like a very strong affinity with, for example, with like Thai forest tradition, for example,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and like yeah, it's so interesting. Like I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just don't want to become conceited in what I think I know
Mm.
is true or correct. Um, and I sort of want to just stick with this tradition to kind of take it to its utmost limit,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of yeah.
Well, in terms of like being pulled in different directions, there's like being pulled in directions which don't have anything to do with Dhamma, and there's also, to an extent, what you're talking about now, like looking here, looking there, or sort of in terms of practice practice techniques, I think. But in the beginning, you were talking about being pulled in like maybe non-Dhamma directions, right? Like getting too keen about work or not wanting to practice kind of thing. But I think that's okay if you like still keep it as part of your routine, just like seeing Dhamma friends on the weekends, group sit. It's like just like measures you can take, right? Um, and even with any job, man, like I think it will be fine. But if you don't have to see it as like, this is what my friend told me when a Posi Sense finished, which is a job I was doing for a few years with the startup, and then it didn't work out. And then I was being really particular about my next job. He was also a guy at Posi Sense that was coming part time, and we were going to hire him if we ever got funding, but we never did. But then, so I was talking to him after it all finished, and I was being so particular about my job, these interviews, and like a potential job opportunity I had and everything. And he's like, you don't have to treat it like another Posi Sense or like another startup, like something you need to be married to kind of thing. Um, you could always quit as well. And when he said that, I didn't really feel so comfortable with it, but I think it's true. Like now it makes total sense, right? Like, I think, especially when it's something that we don't have that much momentum with, or like you have momentum in the other direction. You've spent a lot of time in meditation centers and sitting, serving, etc. But you don't have too much momentum because you haven't focused on it for a while. Then you can just, I reckon you keep in mind what you need to keep in mind to like not get influenced in negative ways. For example, like still meditate every day, obviously, but then catch up with friends, see friends, Dharma friends on the weekend and everything. But in terms of progressing the Kriya and knowing where that's going to take you, I feel like you got to do it like one tiny step at a time without thinking too far ahead. It's very hard. Like I can't see very far ahead in my career.
It does make sense. Yeah. I guess the thing to think about is like whether or not I want to go back to what I was previously doing, like that sort of field, or do a trade. Being an electrician, really, main thing. Because like I think once do that transition, it's I mean progressively more and more difficult to go back into what I was doing if I don't like it. It just seems like the easier option, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I'd rather do something more hands-on. And I feel like I think at least with like being an electrician or like doing a trade, I think it's like very tangible. Like I can help centers with their skills, I think. So yeah, it kind of makes more sense, I think. But I'm a bit worried about my physical fitness
Oh yeah.
as well, just like trades and stuff. But yeah,
No, it'd be a reason to get fit, get in shape as well.
but
Um,
yeah,
I might have to jet in a couple minutes, get some sleep.
yeah, easy.
But it's quite topical. This is quite similar to the chats I was having with Heron, though, because we've just been talking about work and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
it's
Nice.
quite interesting. Different vibe, but just work strategizing. I can send you some of the other episodes. They're pretty. If you bothered, they might not be interesting, but they're pretty amusing, I think.
Yeah, send it through. It's like an hour long or something.
Yeah, I got like 2 40-minute ones.
You upload on like YouTube or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty free at the moment, so I probably should have time to
Oh,
at
cool.
least have a look. Yeah.
Try not to think. I don't know. I reckon try not to think too much.
Yeah, I'll probably just start the cert too. I'll probably try to start it, and then just I'll be studying and then applying for like probably like into like apprenticeships and whatnot, or even like trade assistant just to kind of get my feet wet to see if something like I can kind of see. Yeah, I think just starting to like study a little bit. Yeah, maybe get like a casual sort of job that's sort of in some sort of trade. I think that'd probably be like the more sensible thing, like kind of slowly kind of get into it a bit more.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll keep in touch about it. See how you go.
Yeah, no.
Even with Heron's thing. Well, I mean, we didn't intend to talk about work, but that's how it went. And then so our thing is, well, I don't know where it will go, but then he's trying to get a new job in 12 weeks and he's trying to quit his job, but then he's had massive resistance to quitting his job for so long. I think I'll get redundant in like 12 weeks or so I'm trying to figure something out as well. But anyway,